So the environment's so important. And so even on a phone service, which would probably be the minimal contact you could hope for, because the most important environment is the one in between your ears, this little bit of real estate. You know, most things start in here and then radiate out into the world. And so if people can get the mental health right and start working on them environments. See, I don't think you can... It's nice that a child would have someone to phone, and I don't know why. I've often gone to community groups where they all want to save the children, which again, we all do. But if you really want to save the children, my belief is you've got to put all of the money and all the resources into the parents, because they're the ones that the children are sourcing their development from ultimately. And even if you teach them at school, when it's what's going to happen to them when they go home that's going to be the real game changer. And so I think a lot of what this is talking about as well is that children have kind of already grown up. The damage has already been done. Is there enough treatment for them people, or are they just going to go into society and continue suffering and find themselves an alcoholic to continue the cycle with? And so, you know, whenever I've done family groups to try and explain about the human brain and, you know, a little bit of what we've been talking about here, you always leave feeling, I wish I could do more. I wish I could do more for the families. But without a doubt, people that you see go to Al-Anon and make an effort to stick and learn the program, you can see they start making some difference. The people that go to the ACOA, the Adult Children of Alcoholics, and stick with it. The people that look for therapy, the people that know they have a problem, but you can imagine them children growing up, they don't see that they've got the problem, they see it was their parents' problem. If my dad never done this, if my mum never done that, and of course it's true, but once you get to a certain age, you've got to take the responsibility of getting healing for yourself. You've got to stop blaming them at some point. We all agree it's their fault somewhat, but they couldn't do any different themselves. If it's not in the environment, you know, you can't transmit something you haven't got. And no parent wants to think they've damaged their children. And alcoholics and people on drugs are just not capable of understanding. Even in recovery, they don't seem to understand for years. You can listen to that video that Sonia did. They're still so obsessed with it by themselves, because addiction is more about this self-consciousness, and the drugs and alcohol are trying to get relief from themselves. It's only when they start accepting themselves, then they start realising how impactful they are in their families and in their communities, and then they start changing. So even in recovery, a lot of people carry on damaging their children. Even when they're trying to be nice to them, they're just trying to soothe their own self. So it's very complicated. So I think it's very short-sighted of the government. Again, it's another one of them where they stop giving the rehabs £1 and it costs the country £4 more. Again, you just got to change that mentality where they're like, well, you know, when we were saying that, when they were doing it, people were going, and all the arguments are like, well, if we've only got £1, are we going to give it to the children with cancer, or are we going to give it to the drug addicts? And it's like, well, if you don't give it to the drug addicts, they're going to cost you £4 more, and that's £4 more less for the children with cancer. If you give them the £1, that'll be £4 more for the children with cancer. It's having this more long-term understanding of it, that if we invest in these families, because this 3.5 million children are going to grow up probably with a lot more problems.